This My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of the Rolls-Royce of barbell monitoring technology, the GymAware. Guys, in season training, we rock the GymAware all the time for quite a few reasons. The first, of course, is just that, the ding. Every time the athlete hears that, they know that they're hitting exactly what we need from them at that moment. And when they don't hear it, it brings out that extra little bit of competitiveness within themselves. On top of that, that awesome ding ends out bringing together the athletes as well, pushing each other and getting each other to be able to hit numbers that they probably wouldn't hit at that portion of the year. And finally, of course, that ding helps us monitor, manipulate, and keep track of volumes and intensities so we can best dose our athletes during the season at the right time with the right amount. Guys, hop over to kinetic.com.au and check out what Evan and the team down there have, because this is absolutely a sensational product that's changed the way that we've trained our athletes. This edition of My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Valid Performance, the team behind the NordBoard, ForceDex, the Groin Bar, and Human Track. Guys, the most important ability for all of our athletes is availability, and that's the absolute goal of Valid Performance, is to provide solutions to performance professionals so that we can get the right information to make the right decision at the right time for the betterment of the athletes that we get to work with. To do this, guys, they have a wide range of validated products that focus on usability, and having been founded by the School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences at the Queensland University of Technology, they're extremely evidence-based and they're beyond transparent. I can tell you that our time using the NordBoard and being involved with ForceDex, we have been introduced to so many amazing people that have truly helped us become better coaches, have a better understanding, not just of the technology, but also what we're doing with our athletes. So make sure you hop over to valperformance.com today to make sure you check out what they got. It's going to make you better and to do better by your athletes. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jay DeMayo coming at you with this week's edition of My Thoughts Monday. And today, guys, I kind of want to hop back to last week, to last Tuesday, to Ben Williams' awesome episode of the podcast. If you have not listened to that yet, there are an absolute ton of gems in that talk. Ben killed it. He's doing awesome stuff out there, and he really had some fantastic discussion points, was super open. So obviously can't thank him enough for all of that. But one thing that he talked about that I think is really important, that, to be honest, I think that might be overlooked a little bit out of that episode because there were so many awesome parts to it and so many awesome things to it. And that was the part where he was talking about he wants to encourage the people that are on his staff to continue to progress and continue to learn, to the point that the job that they have there isn't for them anymore, that they outgrow it. And I think that is something that is all too often overlooked in a couple different levels when it comes to what we do in this performance world here. You know, I think that the first level that we overlook that in is in the hiring process. And I think that something that we see all too often is that we hire safely. What do I mean by that? So we hire someone that's directly connected to our circle, or hire someone that is like-thinking, like-minded, who believes in similar methodologies, if you may, to us. Now, I think that we can talk about what the role is of your circle and what the role is of the people you talk with, and people that you confide in, and people that you are looking for advice and to bounce ideas off of and things in another discussion. But I think that understanding where these individuals you are looking to hire come from is important. But I also think it's important to understand who these individuals are and what these individuals can bring to you and your staff. And not to toot my own horn, but that's something that I'm actually really proud of that we've done. You know, a lot of people look at me and they say that, you know, you're the Omega Wave 1x20 guy, or one of those, or both of those, or all of those, or none of those, or whatever it is. And I can say 100% that we've only hired one person from within that, quote, camp, if we want to call it that. You know, the first person I really got to hire was Matt Tomey. But we had people before him in the part-time position that were not in that camp, that are still, you know, in better jobs, you know, that at Richmond. We've had people come from completely different lines of thinking and methods and schooling, you know. People who did work at Ball State, people who did work in Cincinnati and at Xavier, and you know, people who have been through Kansas and Texas, and people who have been through the USOC. And I think that what's important in the hiring process is the same idea as to what Ben was discussing. And that is understanding what you need, understanding where you need to be better, and understanding how to find someone who's going to make you a better coach or a practitioner or push you forward further, and hiring them. You know, it's really, really easy to call your buddies and say, I need somebody, and to take their intern or to take their GA or to take their assistant and help them bump up to another spot. That's super easy. It's safe and it's comfortable, right? Like, they understand most of those things. But even in the hiring of Matt Tomey, like, he challenged me because he understood some things that Doc and Yosef talk about way better than I did. He was better read than I was. He was way far ahead, man, and he pushed me. You know, and that's what these people need to do, is they need to push you. And once they stop being able to push you, should be the same time when they've outgrown that position. And I think all too long, again, we get comfortable having the same people in assistant roles. And I'm not saying that you should be, you know, running people off every year or every other year. But what you should be doing is providing them a situation where they're able to learn and they're able to grow and they're able to expand without you having to push them, without you having to push them towards it, without you sitting there and developing protocols for them to go through. I think most of the people who have worked under me understand the basic principles behind what we do. I think most of them understand the basic progressions to which we see is important, you know, for the development of our student athletes. That's what's important for me, for them to learn, is to understand at least that. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. That's fine. If you've got something that works better, hats off to you. Congratulations. That's why I hired you. So I guess when we're looking at these things, all too often, we like to hold on and we like to fight and we like to keep people, you know, because it's safe and because we're comfortable. But I think that we need to start to look at this more and push ourselves professionally, like we talk about pushing our athletes, and to drive to be more uncomfortable and drive to push ourselves further and drive to bring more people along in these positions. My goal is that every 18 months to 2 years, we turn this position over and this person leaves and has a better job. And I think that a lot, you know, I've been lucky to be able to pull some sensational people who have gotten sensational positions afterwards because of, you know, everything that CVASPS does and the educational opportunities that it provides for them and, you know, all of those things. But even with that being said, these people have to have the gumption and the go-get-itness, you know, to go do those things, to strive to be better and to push themselves to be better. Because the more that they get better, the better you get. It's like that cheesy saying, right? Where it's like, What if we spend money on our staff and then they all leave? It's like, well, what if we don't and they stay? While I may be the constant in the equation here, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, that I'm still here is up for debate as well. The constant is constantly changed because I've been able to bring in sensational people who have not been afraid to push me, who've not been afraid to question me, and have not been afraid to contribute. And I just think all too often we just see people pick up and grab whoever they can from their buddies and their pals to just make sure things continue to move smoothly, instead of reaching out to people who they respect, who may be a little different than them, to fill a bucket that they may not have been able to fill themselves, to make themselves a better coach, to make their staff a better staff, to make their kids better athletes. So I guess that looking at it through the eyes of a guy who's been told it's not you, it's me by other people, by a guy who's been at the top of the bad pile of late, and by a guy who's had a conversation with 5 coaches in the last 2 weeks about the same topic, I think we all need to take a step back and understand what we're hiring and what we're looking for, and use these situations to make ourselves better, not just the younger coaches that we're offering opportunities to. Because contrary to popular belief when it comes to millennials, a lot of these young coaches have way more to offer than any of us could ever imagine. But that's just my thoughts for this Monday. Again, if you haven't listened to Ben's talk from last week, go now, because it's absolutely sensational. As always, guys, thanks for everything you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We'll be back next week with another My Thoughts Monday. I will see you then.